I won't say we broke the internet again. That's starting to become an overused phrase, like the greatest night in the history of our sport. But we did get a lot of allocades, as Lex Luger would say, and even some accolades from the people who know how to use that word, concerning the Turdgate episode of the Jim Cornette's Drive-Thru that aired or escaped, or maybe it aired on the side of safety on last Friday, right? No, Drive-Thru Monday is what I'm trying to say. Yes, because we're in the time warp here. It aired on Monday. It escaped on Monday, and a lot of people liked it. They said it was hilarious. Of course, now we have, as soon as we recorded that, there was some updated information I saw on Twitter. You claim not to have seen it, but the whole thing is, I think this audio that you played was debunked. I'll go ahead and say it. I won't mention this guy's name, but I saw that it was some guy that likes to get on Twitter, on the internet. He has a website or whatever, one of those type of people. And nobody likes him because he makes shit up. And some guy was saying, well, this so-and-so did that with such and such D-list porn star or whatever. And I was the one, was I not, trying to be the voice of reason in that filthy, filthy conversation that we had concerning this whole bunch of shit. I was the one said, this cannot be. This is ridiculous. I was poo-pooing, for lack of a better phrase, the whole idea that was actually Tessa Blanchard or any reputable celebrity. And you, Brian, you fell for it. You were hornswoggled, hoodwinked. You went hook, line, and sinker. You were led by the nose. You believed it. You literally believed it. This is
a nice rewriting of history here. The whole time I said that we don't know for sure who this is. You can go back and listen to the tape because I had to do it several times.
Oh, but I heard the energy and excitement in your voice when you thought you had a scoop. I know you were buying it, Brian.
Yeah,
you were
not exactly. You seemed a little more excited when you thought it may have been P.F. Chang's, if we're going to be honest about things. But no, look, we're going to be honest here. We don't know where the audio originates from. We don't know who's on the audio for sure. There are certainly different stories going around. Some people say that this has been a rumor that's been around for a few years, and other people are saying, and I hadn't heard this until you just said it, that it is. I don't
what
know.
A rumor has been around. I thought it was brand new. I thought it was a recent production.
No,
now you change your story.
Apparently, the rumors of, again, I don't even know how we're getting into this again. The rumors of defecation for hire. I've been around for a little while. I don't know how else to put it. What do we call it? I don't know. But again, I'm not saying anything about the authenticity of who it is on there. We don't know. We were reporting what we were seeing online when recounting the tweets attacking Tessa Blanchard for her behavior.
Yeah, well, and one thing is, believe it or not, and I know some people, how did they set that up, or how long did it take them to think of that? Literally, no, you were actually hearing what you were playing for me for the very first time ever. And I was, unbeknownst to the whole subject, and in the interest of, I had actually been taking up, and we're going to talk more about Tessa's supposed behavior here in a second, because I've been taking up for some of it, but also I have heard since from someone whose opinion that I value and who is not, who's been around, but at the same time is not of the generation that would be involved in the whole thing. A little bit more experienced but not an elderly individual, who said that basically Tessa is not, well, I'm not saying it's like goddamn, some 70-year-old fuck sitting in the corner. This person is in modern wrestling, but understands with hindsight of working in a major way how locker rooms go. Tessa is not social with the other girls. She's very serious minded. I've gotten that from the times that I've talked to her. And obviously when you see her work, she's serious-minded. She doesn't go out and party with the other girls, and she doesn't be sociable, and she has been, in often cases, rubbed people the wrong way because And I've seen, a lot of guys that have done this also, oh God, Tully might strangle me if he heard me say this, but little Buddy Landelish, she got so good, so quick, so young that in some cases, whether she meant to or not, she'd come off as well, I can do that perfectly. Why can't you? And et cetera, et cetera. And I don't know. I haven't been around, but I'm just saying from someone else that whose opinion I would value. Yes, she had some attitude issues when she was younger, but a lot of it comes from her not actively trying to be everybody's friend because she's pretty fucking serious about the athletic side of wrestling, as you can tell.
From what I've been told, these attitude issues are the reason why WWE passed on her.
And that's
actually, not too long ago.
Well, actually, I can believe that too. If the attitude that they passed on was too serious, even instead of too unprofessional, because they do that too. So I don't know what the situation is. However, I did take the piss out of that. No pun intended. Out of the authenticity of this video or audio or whatever that's being debunked. Just so you know. I'm the trailblazer, but no, here's the thing.
I've never heard you try to distance yourself from something so quickly like you are from this.
I just wanted, because as soon as we did that show, that's why I was saying, I wanted to make sure that Stephen P. New listened to it because I said, did we actually legitimize this somehow, or did we actually say this was her rather than laughing and taking the piss out of the whole thing? Because we just did it out of our ass.
And for the record, because it was on Twitter, but if you listen to the show and don't check our social media, you wouldn't know. The show actually did get reviewed by Stephen P. New. It was legally cleared for us, and he went through it, and he made sure that there was nothing that would lead to any exposure for you or myself.
Well, no, I didn't want people to think that we were actually saying this is real when I heard that, because that was so over the top and ridiculous. I'm sorry, I just can't envision, even though I've only met her a few times, I can't envision her actually fucking do it. At first it was like, okay, it was, whatever. But then when it got to all the fucking verbal, and you say, wait a minute, there's verbiage. And then all the shit, by the time they got to the Ziploc bag, I'm like, no, this is a fucking rib. But we had never heard that before.
One of my favorite lines in it was probably at the very end where she said, I guess I'll be seeing you soon because I shit a lot.
All right, but
have we heard the voice on this alleged D-list porn star that you're saying it may be?
I don't fucking know. Who knows? I mean, it could have been goddamn oh shit. This would have been a good joke if I could have thought of her name. The fucking voice actress on Family Guy that does so many voices. If I said it could have been so-and-so, she does a million voices. I don't know. But maybe I get sued for that. Anyway, but in all seriousness, it did bring up, not only these girls are mad at Tessa because she was bullying them or blah, blah, blah. One of them accused of spitting on her and calling her the N-word or whatever. And one of the things I said was, well, what is the context to this? Did she just see this girl in the locker room and run up and spit on her and call her the N-word, or had the girl just dropped her on her head? I said, I need some context here. And automatically people, well, now Cornette's saying a botched wrestling move is okay for his excuse to call someone. Well, no, not if she didn't go over right on the sunset flip. No, I don't think we need to head to those extremes. The point I was trying to make was, what is the context? Were these people in a fighting? Were they arguing? Is there prior heat of It's so the locker rooms have definitely changed, and I know all the young kids are going, yeah, they've changed so they get the sexism and the racism and the no, they've changed in that it's gone from a locker room environment where you had, say that with college football or pro football, a lot of these guys played football. Bill Watts booked the territory like a football coach. Or some type of organized sports where the coaches yell at them and where it's all guys in the locker room and they fucking yell at each other and blah, blah, blah. And they go out and practice by hitting each other or fighting gyms or punching each other in the face. And now in wrestling, people are automatically like, well, why don't they run to human resources? They're trying to put real life social situations that they can relate to into wrestling somehow. And in terms of, no, it's not acceptable if you work at Target or if you are working in one of the offices at a major accounting firm, such as the one I recently visited here in the fine city of Louisville. And if you have an argument or a dispute with one of your coworkers, it's probably not acceptable in that environment to say, motherfucker, the next time I see you, I'm going to knock you the fuck out. However, when you applied that to a wrestling environment, when Sinclair Broadcasting bought Ring of Honor and the merchandise weasel was able to block Adam Pearce's hiring because 2 years previous he had said that to him. As I told them, I said, if you could not hire anybody in the world of professional wrestling who had ever said that to somebody else that they technically worked with, co-worker in the locker room, you wouldn't be able to field a fucking team. And but as the locker room is starting to change to this generation who considers themselves more entertainers and actors, to be honest, than athletes, they consider themselves very athletic and in great shape, but more of them consider themselves actors and entertainers now by their own definitions than they do consider themselves professional athletes. So, so all of a sudden, a lot of that is changing, but you've still got an element of this is a combat sport and you're in with somebody, whether you're cooperating with them or not, they're still at various points going to punch and kick you in the face. And it's showbiz and sports and contact sports. So you've got an elements of jealousy, or just that person rubs me the wrong way. Oh, now I got to work with him. Oh, and Jesus Christ, now that fucking person that rubs me the wrong way that I've got to work with and put them over on TV because they're going to push and I'm not. Oh, wait a minute now. They're continually pulling my fucking hair too hard and potatoed me with that goddamn elbow finish, whatever the fuck. And that kind of shit builds up. And then sooner or later, somebody has a fucking issue. And over the years in wrestling, whether if top guys have issues with each other, the promoter always wants to step in whenever possible and try to calm it down, you know, so that it doesn't get fucking physical, because he wants to keep peace amongst the main event guys because they're drawing money. If it's a main event guy and an underneath guy, well, then the underneath guy, you know, needs to find a place to get. It's like if I'd have gone into Jerry Jarrett's office at the Mid-South Coliseum when I was a rookie manager and say, you know, Jerry Lawler is really being mean to me. He bullies me and he just talks bad about me. He's really making me uncomfortable to work here. But then Jerry would have said, well, that's terrible to hear. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to be working from now on? Because I was nobody and it was a star. Things were always handled differently. But no, if it comes to physical violence or fucking screaming and yelling, if it's your top guys, the promoters would step in, or some of the other guys would, you know, either step in and try to calm it down, or maybe step in and try to stir it up. That's what the Dynamite Kid was noted. His ribs were so mean and mean-spirited and fucking harsh on guys that then finally, when the other guys, can't remember who it was, can't remember the play-by-play, but when the other guys had convinced the Rougeaus that Dynamite and Davey had fucked their shit up when they didn't even really do it, Jacques came in with the goddamn sucker punch, right hand to the mouth with the roll of quarters out of nowhere, and knocked all of fucking Dynamite's front teeth out. It goes too far.
It didn't exactly happen that way. That was the comeback after Dynamite had gone after Jacques while Raymond was hurt and couldn't defend himself.
Well, yeah. Well, no, I'm not saying that was the first incident, but that was pretty much the exclamation point on the whole fucking, that had built to that fucking point, right? Because nobody would get involved. Point is, no, if somebody doesn't go over on the sunset flip all right, that's no reason to go off on them, spit at them, fucking call them various names. There's stages of retaliation and response for negligence or carelessness, or just there's things that happen also. I've seen it a million times. Guys have threatened to, kicked shit out of each other, smacked each other once or twice, been pulled apart, cut vicious promos on each other, and every stage in between for all kinds of shit going back to the dawn of time. And in some ways in wrestling, if somebody is careless with you, it's worse than being in a fight with somebody, because you know then straight up that the fucking guy doesn't care whether he hurts you or not if you're fighting him. But when you're giving somebody your trust and your body, and either laying there while they come down on it, or going up with them while they're picking you up and you come down on your fucking head, and you know that could have been fucking it for the career, you come up saying a lot of shit. But there's stages. If you shoot a guy off and your move is the big boot, and you give a guy a big boot and you fucking knock him goofy, even a guy gets knocked goofy has to, okay, this ain't ballet. You're throwing a kick, I'm running toward it. Some things can happen. If it gets to be a pattern or every fucking time, that's where somebody needs to be set down. If you're on your knees selling and you're bent over and the guy goes to kick you, and he, instead of flat of the boot to the flat of your chest, it's the fucking point of his toe in the goddamn mush, then you're probably going to cuss, you're going to say something, and you might even give him a little fucking fire up back as a receipt. But sometimes, and I'm not saying this is in the case of the Tessa Blanchard situation because we don't know what it was, but I'm saying as a rule, people said what is a botched wrestling move worth, this retaliation. When you get so far as to how some of these guys are trusting each other and girls these days, or even back in the 70s and 80s when it was top guys that had their livelihoods on the line and somebody just did something really stupid with them up in the air or coming down on them that could have been it. I've seen and heard a lot of remarkably colorful fucking banter go on. And, but it's a goddamn locker room, and it's a kind of a contact sport, and it's kind of a fight. In some cases with people that you don't like for whatever reason. So I think people trying to, whether it's this issue or just the general issue of bullying or toxic environment or whatever the fuck in the locker room, fucking hell. I know if everybody resorted to snatching somebody to settle things, well, Shawn Michaels would have been, fucking in an iron lung 5 years before he retired. Only a few people snatched Shawn Michaels, but you try to keep it on a professional basis, but shit's going to blow up. And before you judge, everybody's behavior, you need to understand why the fuck it blew up. As I said, whether or not she just walked in and decided, I'm going to spit on that fucking girl and call her all kinds of fucking names, all the way to the other end of the spectrum of had she just almost paralyzed her with one of these stupid fucking moves that happens, or anything in between, or had it been building, or was there any goddamn backstory to this amongst these people? You don't know what the fuck's happening, and I get sick and tired, not only in this situation, but in all of them, of seeing this. Oh, it's such a toxic culture in the locker room. The locker room now, more in most wrestling organizations, more resembles the green room or the dressing room at a community theater in some cases, rather than an actual goddamn wrestling locker room as it was traditionally known for 100 years. I don't know. What do you think?
I think if something happens in the ring and it's something where one of the parties is sloppy or unsafe, I think that it's reasonable to, in the back, have a few words or maybe even get into a fight. But I think the N-word is a line you can't cross. You can't be throwing that around. And I think if that's true, if that's what Tessa Blanchard did, I think that's inexcusable. And I think that's something she needs to apologize for. Spitting in the face, again, we don't know the context of what happened, but with that said, whatever the context was, I don't think there's any excuse for the N-word.
Well, and I didn't say excuse, but I did say I wasn't surprised, depending on the context, because I've heard that and worse and other things and everything happen a million times before when people are in a process of almost beating the fuck out of each other. However, the whole controversy of Tessa came the week that she won a men's world championship. And this was to some groundbreaking and to some wind-breaking, to make another pun on the previous.
To some, yes.